The 167th Airlift Wing Commander, Colonel Brokowski. We have so much going on across base today that he's got another engagement as soon as he's done here. So without further ado, our Wing Commander.
Exercise.
I asked Jeffrey to send. I told Jeffrey I'd emailed him and said, "Hey, send me some good words for Timmy from you, and I'll read it and make everybody cry." And crickets. There's an email in your inbox here, Jeffrey. I was going to hold up a blanket.
He didn't have nothing good to say.
I think sometimes the measure of the person is the people we bring up behind us, and Jeffrey's good people. And you're sorely missed. Just ask Becky over in headquarters. Brought the chief with me, of course, and you know, we come to these and we have to run around the base, and we can never thank the family enough. And how many years?
37 and a half total.
37 and a half total. How many here are younger than 37 and a half? I weren't even Tom. Not me. That's a lot of service, and you can't do that service without support. Some of the best conversations that Timmy and I have had have involved bluegrass and NASCAR. Right. And
boy right there plays.
Oh, I've seen the videos.
I've showed you all.
Yeah, we got a young lady at home that plays the fiddle and the violin, depending on what we're playing. So she's traveling to Fairmont yesterday, and it's things like that that bring us together here in the Guard. You know, and that's the beauty of the Guards, that we spend so much time together, and we grow together, and we see the families grow up together, and then we get to see Shelley and Timmy playing music at the Christmas prayer breakfast, and conversations about greyhounds. But then, you know, you still make the sacrifice, and you head down to Altus. For how many months total did you spend at Altus?
Like 6, 7.
6, 7 there, and 6, 7 at the desert. And, so, culminating a long and distinguished career. So, I can't thank you enough for your service. I can't thank the family. You know, I think I was chatting with General Gillum, making decisions in my own life, and one of the things he said is, if we take care of our families, the country will take care of itself, and our families will take care of this country, and that's where it starts. And that's why when I hear General Hoyer come in and talk to deployers about us helping their families out and taking care of them while we're gone, that is so important. And then us and our families being able to serve because of the sacrifices our families make. So, Timmy, we'll miss you. You won't be a stranger. I have only talked to one person in my career, maybe two, that have lamented being retired. Most folks are okay with it, and hopefully the folks that aren't okay with it.
I know who you're talking
are learning to deal with it. I am between my own ears, I think I'll be okay with it when it finally happens. I think a measure of the person also is the people that come back to see you all and see these folks in the room is so important. And, I'm bummed I have to sneak off out of here and not spend more time with you. So Timmy, thank you for your service to the country, to the state. Thanks for reminding me of all the good people back in Southern Virginia, Southwestern Virginia, farther south and farther west than Martinsville, I guess.
Yeah, oh yeah. Almost Kentucky.
Almost Kentucky. Well, it's pretty close. There's a lot almost Kentucky and almost North Carolina. So stay in touch, and I know you will. And Jeffrey, you be good and you be safe. We miss you. All right. So, Commander's Coin. Mountaineer Pride Worldwide, I think that's one of the most important things that goes to your heart. So thanks for everything. You've learned well. Chief?
Sam, on behalf of the enlisted force, I want to present you my coin as well. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
We've been trying to do the shout out all week long, and now we're doing it.
Yeah.
You just happen to be there on the Facebook. So a lot of kinks in the system, but we were able to bring you in for this. So I wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity as well. Because again, like Carl said, you're passing that legacy on, and what a great kid you got there. I brag him up as much as I can because I think it's those NCOs that are coming up behind us that are going to lead the way for our future. 37 years, I'm catching up to you fast. I've got almost 35 now, so I'm right behind you, brother. I want to thank you for everything you've done, everything for the wing, and passing on this young man to us as well. I think that's great. We had him to carry on your legacy. So I appreciate everything you've done with him. Thank you so much. Jeff, see you, buddy.
My apologies.
No problem.
I'll try and make it back. Please carry on.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'd like to introduce 167 Operations Group Commander, Colonel Marty Timko.
As I say, just keep standing. All right. I've been gone for a while. I actually just got back from deployment, so I'm actually delighted that back for my first UTA new year and actually get to be part of this. So just a few words that I had to say with Timmy. You know, first off, with the retirees in the room, you know, there's a legacy aspect to this. So, I mean, 37 and a half years, many airframes, many personnels, many changes. So I think it's kind of neat that so many people are filling up the room to make sure you get a good send-off. Just two quick stories, and I promised the family that these are the nice ones. So I remember in the C5 days, I was working in current ops, and you know, switching from the C-130 to the C5. Hey, Jeff. It was a transition because, you know, in the 130 we were very self-contained, very self-reliant. We didn't need help of anyone else, and we just kind of took care of our stuff, and we got the mission done. And then we started flying this big gargantuan airframe, and the crew was gargantuan, and everybody and their brother, big brother at TACC, was watching our every single move, and it was odd because it's like, man, I got to call into who and get permission to do what. So one of the things we learned is we got very intimately familiar with G2, which was the command and control system that pretty much tracks every mission from when we launched out of here at Martinsburg, and then you know, usually went around the world and came back. And one of the things that happens in G2 is every place, every little incident, every little occurrence, there's always a comment written in there and such. So here we were, the fledgling C5 unit, and we're kind of getting our feet underneath us. And so I'm in current ops, and Timmy comes walking in, and he's, you know, pardon my French, Timmy's mad as hell. He goes, "Hey, did you see that write-up about our mission, about when we were at Ramstein?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Yeah, look up that write-up right there." You know, and it basically, you know, to put it in so many words, it says, due to the fact that the crew didn't know what they were doing, they were delayed. And Timmy was pissed off, and he's just like, "I'm not going to stand for this." You know? I kind of sat there, I'm like, "Don't worry about it." And I kind of thought about it later. I'm like, you know, that's kind of cool, because, you know, here we are, you know, we're trying to establish our mark in the C5 community, and he's furious because some, you know, A1C decided to spout off, you know, that everybody can read that, you know, Martinsburg didn't know what they were doing, and so he countered it, and there was a form to fill out, and he filled it out, and they like expunged that from the record. So the anecdotal part of that story is you know, it was just that pride factor that was like, no, you don't sit there and bag on the 167. We may be rookies at what we're doing right now in this airframe, but no, it wasn't because the crew didn't know what they were doing. So that was one, and then the other one, just from general, when I became an aircraft commander in the C5 and everything. You know, we had that big gargantuan crew entrance ladder to get up there, which I swear I was going to die falling off that thing, but thankfully I did not. Yeah, I think we all had our moments. But so the first thing I would always learn, because usually the flight engineers went out to the jet first, the pilots would go mission plan, and then we would go meet up with them, and, you know, hopefully, you know, kick the tires, crank it up, and get going. So what I learned, you know, trying to get that big beast moving, was first thing I did is I beelined up the stairs, and I went right to the flight engineer, and I was just like, okay, before I get all my energy going here, it's like, what's the story? And the only other time you would do that is, since we usually had such big crews, we had chances to take a break during the long flights. So if it was your turn to take a break, maybe catch a couple wings, and then, so before you stumbled up to the flight deck and it was your turn on shift, the first thing I always did was I went to the flight engineer and it's kind of like, all right, what's the story? So with Timmy, I learned very quickly, you wanted the short answer. So when it was the short answer, it was usually like, hey, so what's the story? And he was like, yeah, we're good. I was like, all right. That's all I needed to hear. I knew that, I wouldn't have like an entire panel lit up with like system failures and all kinds of stuff. However, if you ask them the same question and you get the, well, never good, okay? Because it's like, yeah, hydraulic system 1's probably down, and we're getting ready to lose number 4, and there's something wrong downstairs, and it's just like, so I learned to appreciate your short answers, because that usually meant things were going well, because the long answers are never good, so those are my 2 big Timmy stories that I wanted to relate. But embedded in all of that this was a guy that, as much as he didn't like being away from his family, this was a guy that liked going on the road, and I enjoyed going on the road with him because, for the most part, unless, maybe the plane wasn't cooperating or something, there was usually a smile sitting behind you, which, that's contagious, especially on a flight deck on a long day like that. So I was always appreciative of that, and, heck, I guess I have to classify myself as one of the old guys now, so, it's many years of doing that with you, so I'm appreciative of that, and, I'm glad that Jeff's carrying on the legacy, and, good kid, and I look forward to working with him in the future. So, as I'll say with what Colonel P ended with, don't be a stranger, obviously you've got your legacy pals over there as well, so stop on by any time, just to check up on us and, make sure that we're doing things right still. So, but without further ado, we have the newly minted operations group coin, and so got the group patch on the front, the current airframe, and then, with the help of Randy Wright, because he's so much smarter than I am, we got fancy Latin. So, Montani Circum Orbrum Terrarum Vecturis Superbia, which is a really fancy way of saying Mountaineer Pride Worldwide, or I'm sorry, Mountaineers Worldwide Hauling Pride. So, and then you got both squadrons that are under the group with the state silhouette in the back. So, without further ado, let me welcome you to your retirement, well deserved. And I'll give you a salute, and I'll give you a big old hug.
I like that.
So, thank you.
All right, I'm going to do a little reading. I hope I don't put anybody to sleep. Today we honor the military career Master Sergeant Timothy Wayne Blankenship. We honor Tim's family and thank them for their service to our great nation. It's the families that do bear the brunt, especially with what we do. We spend so much time away from home, and that's what we signed on to do. Didn't make it any easier when it seems like we just left home and the car won't start. Hot water heater goes kaput. It's always when we're not home. So thank each and every one of you all for putting Tim on loan to us here for this period that he served with us. And introduce Tim's family, Betty Sturgill. Welcome. Tim's wife Shelley, his daughter Brittany, granddaughter Avilia.
Okay.
Not a good enunciator. His brother Ted. Ted's wife Angie. Susan Tipton, Tim's sister.
Yeah.
Janice Morgan. His wife's sister-in-law, first marriage. And then, of course, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's overseas right now, serving on deployment with our unit, the 167.
And Jason, my nephew, is here.
And Jason, the nephew. Sorry. Tim was born 27 September 1962 in our nation's capital, Columbia Hospital for Women. Guess you remember that. Lived in D.C., Washington, D.C. for a short time, and also Springfield, Virginia. Manassas Park until age 3. Moved to Bristol, Tennessee. Lived there until first grade. Moved to Kingsport, Tennessee. Lived there 2nd through the 4th grade. From there to Blunteville, Tennessee. Getting all this right? Middle of the 4th grade to the 7th grade. And then they moved to Tim's mom's hometown of Coburn, Virginia, Wise County. The middle of 7th grade until graduation. July 1980, after graduation, Tim joined the Air Force under the Delayed Enlistment Program in Kingsport, Tennessee. October 2nd, 1980, left for BMT, good old San Antonio, Texas. From there, he went on to Shepherd, Wichita Falls for maintenance school. And first duty assignment was Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Goldsboro, North Carolina, assigned to the 4th Equipment Maintenance Squadron in the phase dock, the old F-4 Phantom, what they call it, the lead sled.
Yep.
Early 1983, transferred over to the repair and reclamation shop of the 4th EMS, rigging flight controls and canopies. Wow. 1984, spring of 84, he cross-trained to the flight engineers and left for survival school, Fairchild. We all remember survival school. May of 1984, good old Altus, Oklahoma. Basic flight engineer school, and out of a class of 30, only 14 made it through the whole course. And Tim was one of them, obviously, that made it. July of 84, reported to his duty station, Little Rock, Arkansas, for C-130 flight engineer training, and he was assigned to the 62nd Airlift Squadron. And all of us that went through Little Rock remember all of our TAC training, all of our low-level and airdrop training was through the 62nd. And I guess you got to see a lot of
Arkansas.
a lot of Arkansas low-level.
Yeah.
May of 86, Tim Palace chased over to the Air National Guard. Originally, he went to the 130th down at Charleston, West Virginia. He was there for 10 months as a guard bum. For those who don't know, a guard bum, that's your full part-time job. So try to get as many trips as you can get. March of 87, he got a technician job here at Martinsburg, and he came to the Panhandle. July of 90, went to instructor school. July 91, promoted to Master Sergeant. August 2000, married his beautiful wife, Shelley. November 01, after 9/11, activated, sent to Simbach, Germany for 3.5 months. In May of 02, Tim adopted Shelley's 2 awesome kids, Brittany and Jeffrey. September 02, activated, sent to Camp Snoopy, Qatar for 1.5 years. I like John Wendell called it Camp Stupid. April 03, activated, sent to San Juan, Puerto Rico for 4 months. And then September 03, still activated, sent to Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar. November 05, we all got another ticket back to good old Altus, Oklahoma. Flight engineer training 6 months. Tim did his seasoning at Stewart Air National Guard Base, Newburgh, New York, for mission qualification on the C-5. 2007, Tim switched over to from air technician to AGR. He had 27 total years technician. Wow. 2009, Tim's son Jeffrey joined the 167th as a C-5 crew chief, and during the transition to the C-17, Jeffrey switched over. He's a chaplain's assistant now. Another big day in Tim's life, which I just got to experience this year, December 4th, 2011, his beautiful granddaughter, Abila, was born.
That's me.
And then, of course, October 14, attended BLM training, Basic Loadmaster training here at Martinsburg. I remember when Tim showed up in the spring of 1987. Old Duck, how's Tim say it? Duck Light.
Duck Light.
Duck Light was the flight engineer boss that hired Timmy. It was certainly a different time then. I remember a skinny, red-headed, simple-minded hillbilly with a southern twang and a goofy sense of humor.
Haven't changed much, have
Nope. Tim and I flew many C-130 flights together through the years. I can remember many Timmy incidences during our downtime that brought some of the best entertainment of my life. Whether it was Minneapolis, Minnesota, Tired Air Base, Panama. I'm gonna let you talk about that one, Dougie. Or the air show at Frederick, Maryland. McCullough's not here, is he? The fun times and memories we share with Tim are priceless. And being Tim's mom's here today, I'm not going to present any details. Tim joined the Air Force in 1980. He served under 7 U.S. presidents. Of course, Jimmy Carter was Commander-in-Chief when Timmy joined. And like all of us who wear the flight suits, he got to travel the world. Tim's one of the few U.S. Air Force airlifters to attain the 10,000 flying hour mark. Tim was qualified as a C-130 and C-5 flight engineer instructor. He flew 4,125 sorties. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? During his career, in which 1,176 of those hours were instructor time, where you had a flight engineer student. Tim flew multiple overseas missions, of course, deployed to the Middle East. And during his overseas time, he flew 178 combat sorties, in which 740 hours of his flying time were combat hours. Very noteworthy. During 2014, the C-5 departed and the flight engineer positions retired. Tim became a member of the Loadmaster section October of 2014. Prior to retirement, Tim worked in the DTS shop. He was the travel voucher man. On a personal note, I'd like to say thanks for your service, thanks for your friendship, thanks for all the great memories. Wish you all the best, everybody. At this time, I'd like to introduce the 167th Airlift Squadron Commander, Colonel Chris Sigler, and our first sergeant, Master Sergeant Tony.
All right, we're going to go ahead and head for a service level. Attention order. United States of America. To all who shall see these presents reading, this is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal to Master Sergeant Timothy W. Blankenship for meritorious service 14 March 1987 to 30 January 2018. Master Sergeant Timothy W. Blankenship distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States while assigned to the 167th Airlift Wing from 14 March 1987 to 30 January 2018. During this period, Sergeant Blankenship's professional skill and vast experience while serving his country were critical to the 167th Airlift Wing accomplishing its worldwide mission. During his 38-year career, he acquired a variety of skill sets, such as a F-4 fighter crew chief, flight engineer scheduler, C-130, and C-5 flight engineer instructor. During this period, Sergeant Blankenship's professional skill and aviation expertise while serving as a C-5 flight engineer instructor were critical by safely delivering countless warfighters and mission-critical cargo throughout the world. Throughout his diverse career, he directly contributed to the national security objectives by participating in Operations Desert Shield, Storm, Joint Guard, Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi Freedom. In addition, his personal sacrifice under austere conditions were vital to the accomplishment of these operations by acquiring more than 740 combat hours and 178 combat support hours. Finally, he provided expertise to the flight engineer career field by accumulating over 10,627 flying hours and 1,176 instructor flight hours. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Blankenship culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country, and reflect great credit upon himself, the Air National Guard, and the United States Air Force. Given under my hand, 11 July 2017, Sean J. Burkowski, Colonel, West Virginia Air National Guard, Commander, 167th Airplane.
All right, y'all, go ahead and stand at ease. Thank you. All right, congratulations, Tim. Please be seated. You heard in that Meritorious Service Medal citation there, sacrifice, the word was thrown out quite a bit. There's, you know, obviously when you have nearly 38 years of service, almost 11,000 hours of flying, there's no way around not sacrificing. But I know this wing here's had a couple conversions, so there's been a lot of turnover. So some of you may not be aware of all the sacrifices Timmy's done, but I know you know he has after hearing that. But I'll just give you a small little snapshot. I showed up about 20 years ago to work with Timmy, and it was a very busy time back then. We had, I know you guys don't like hearing the old Herc stories, but we still got to keep telling them anyway. There were 12 C-130s out on the ramp, and for whatever reason in the flight engineer career field, you've never been overmanned in flight engineers, always undermanned. I think it's because you had to have some maintenance background and then transfer over to flight engineer and then start over again, and then the school was tough and things like that. So it was tough to produce good engineers, but we had a handful of good full-time engineers. Some of them are sitting out there now, and that section grew very tight together. You always see them supporting each other through retirements and things. However, that section had to work very hard. During those years, we were flying 4 or 5, sometimes up to 6,000 hours, so we were very busy. Maybe 3 ships sorted in the morning, 3 ships sorted at night, then a lot of trips heading out on the weekends, overseas deployments and things, and a lot of times it was these guys out here pulling the weight for the 167. So I know you guys worked right up to the point of being burnt out, and sometimes occasionally past that, but you guys stuck together and made it work. So I'm glad I got to witness that time of your career there, Timmy. But also, like Colonel Tempko said, and Chief Shambaugh alluded to, I got a chance to get out on the road with you too, and I'll just say, you've not lived until you've been out on the stage at the club singing Country Roads with Timmy. And I know we've done it at Kyrgyzstan and Simbach a couple times, so, and I'm sure some of you were probably out there
Somebody's
with
going to have to take that over for me, by the way.
Yeah, actually Timmy did a good job with karaoke, so Timmy, I'm proud to work with you, and I've always enjoyed it. Thank you, buddy. All right. I think you're up now.
Can you stay up there? All right, I have the privilege of presenting your shadow box to you. I don't have a whole lot to say. I could go on and on for several hours probably. But one trip stands out in my mind with Timmy. We probably about 2008. We got tasked with a mission. Seemed like a good deal. It was a round the world trip, which is pretty cool. We don't get those too often. And then we found out what airplane it was, and it was like the worst airplane at the base. It had a very bad reputation. So, Irma. So anyways, it was Timmy and myself and Chris Fiso was the flight engineers on it. So we took off, and I forget, we went to somewhere stateside, Europe, made our way around to somewhere around Al-Udeid, Diego Garcia, Japan. I can't remember where all we went. Coming back, I think we
did a fuel stop in Thailand.
Yeah, that's right, Thailand. The plane didn't break, I don't think, so that was kind of sad. But, anyway,
when you want it to.
Anyway, long story short, when we set out, it was supposed to be like an 11-day trip, and everybody laughed at us when we left. And I'll be darned if day 11 we didn't show up back here. Like the Colonel said, I could probably contribute some of that to singing Country Roads. But I know he sang it in Japan, I know he sang it in Hawaii, and I know he sang it in Germany. So, but anyway, where am I going with this story? 37.5 years is a long time. I've always enjoyed working with Tim. Shadowbox is a snapshot of looking back at a career, all the things you've done. It's such a, most people look at it and say, oh, that's pretty, that's cool, that's really neat. But when an individual looks back at their career, they see little stories in every little piece of this box, all underneath the United States flag. And today's controversy we have with the flag, we in this room know what the flag means. It's a symbol of unity for the whole country. I don't care what your race, creed, whatever. That's for all of us to be proud of. I'd like to thank Brad for putting this together. Yeah. It looks great.
Looks awesome.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome. I'll give you a hug later.
Oh, okay.
now and sending somebody else off.
On us old guys.
Well, this is also the year for the Lackland class of 1980,
That's
because
right.
we sent Ron off last month, and he and I were at basic together in 1980.
And we were at BFE the same year too.
You and I were at BFE at the same year, and I was reminded about what you had a class of 30 or something, and less than
30
half
something.
of you finished. That and
And
those
didn't watch back once.
and
Some of them
the,
made it through.
that was not a contractor taught class. It was an Air Force taught class, and that was the class when you came in. There was you looked at the guy on your right and the guy on your, and they won't be here at the end of the course. And mine was the same way. About half of us finished the course, and it was. And that may be why flight engineers were always in short supply. It was hard to get somebody to make it through the whole program, and then when you get into it and have to live it, wow. We do disagree on what the best airplane is, but at any rate, I want to give you this lapel pin. It says that you're retired. You can put it on your lapel if you have one, or on your uniform
I do
or
on my
whatever.
blues.
And so you can be a proud member of the retired Air Force. 3 more months I'll be down.
That's right. I'll be here for you.
And it's great to have known you, Timmy.
Thank
Just
you,
great.
man.
Take care.
Finally got to retirement, huh?
Yep.
How many days you got?
About 24.
All right. So we met in 2006 when I joined the engineer section. Timmy was very quick to tell me how great the C5 was. You know, we've flown a lot together, and you know, I've really enjoyed it. We were just talking about some stories last week with Randy Wright, and he brought up about when we took off out of Martinsburg here, shortly after takeoff, you know, the air conditioners went from high flow to, or low flow to high flow, and you didn't have those packs right. Those border separators come apart. And he said, "What was that noise?" "I don't know." And Timmy goes for a walk. "A lot of smoke back here." So, of course, we went on oxygen, and that was made for an interesting flight for sure. And, I have a couple letters of appreciation. They didn't come back quite yet, so we got a fancy 8.5 by 11 on white sheet. But got one from Donald J. Trump, and one from the Chief Staff of the Air Force. And Shelley, we got one for you as well from the Director of their Chief Staff of the Air Force. Appreciation for all the sacrifices you've given. You know, being with the family, it is so hard when your family does not support you when you're out on the road. When you have that support at home, it makes our job so much easier. So we appreciate everything that both of you done for us.
We're opening up the floor now. Anyone that wants to get up and say anything, and I know some of the retirees. So, open podium. Hey.
Only about 3 people in this room even know who I am.
I know who you are.
See, right there. Anyway, I retired January '92, 26 years ago, almost to the date. And I knew Tim, well, 5 years prior to my retirement. I retired as a C-130 flight engineer examiner. So what I really want to say is, he's my replacement. Now you gotta look for his replacement.
Thank you. That's Howard Williams, retired senior master sergeant, and also decorated Vietnam veteran. Open podium. medium. Colonel Cochran?
Jimmy, I'll talk to you later, but everything's been said, except for one thing. That's right. That's right.
I'd like to say that I'm going to miss Timmy, and it's been a heck of a long run. We've had a lot of fun times. Also, reiterate to Timmy that I've never owned a Mopar.
You need
I
to,
never
though.
will own a Mopar.
You need to, sir.
I will walk before I
We'll straighten you out. We'll straighten you out.
Chevy's the way to go. There you go. I'm getting some thumbs up from family members over there. But, you know, we do go way back to the 130s and all the way through C5s. And all these flight engineers, you know, their roots run deep, for sure. I'm going to miss you. Wish you the best of luck. One of these days we'll get together at the Dairy Queen or something and squeal some tires or do something like that. You get your old Mopar running again. So.
That's right.
Best of luck to you. See you around.
Thanks, Randall P.
All right, bud.
At this time, Tim's son, Jeffrey, is going to speak to us on satellite.
Yeah. Yep.
Alright, Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm retiring.
What the heck? What? I'm supposed to come back, and you're not going to be there anymore.
I know. You shouldn't have left.
I'm going to have to go talk to Corbin this time instead of talk to you. What the
Oh, I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I know. That's the worst part. So, hey, good job. Congratulations. And, I'm proud of you.
Thank
So, I'll stop crying.
Proud of you.
So, I can't give you the tissues like I did during your wedding.
True. Yeah, you can.
But hey, I got a couple videos I'll send to you. That was the issue. I wasn't able to get them through email.
Okay.
They're too big, but I'll shoot that to you so you can see those. Man, there's a lot to say, not enough time. But with all the successes I've had so far, and for what people have said, oh my gosh, about me, it's because of you. So, thank you.
Thank you. Proud of you.
So, the one video. Okay. So the one you remember before I left, I went to DC, got to meet all the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, all the Chiefs of Staff. Pretty awesome. So when the chairman came to visit here on USO, I got to catch up with him, and he remembered me along with the Band Sergeant Major Troxel, the senior advisor, senior enlisted advisor to him. I talked to him about you, talked to him about your retirement, and that's one of the videos that I'll shoot to you. So, if you remember, I got coined by him. I showed you some pictures of that, which is pretty awesome. But the one thing he gave me was this to give to you.
Sweet.
So this is his coin.
Wow.
From the most senior enlisted person in the military.
That's awesome.
And so you'll get to see that video. And so, gosh, this is tough.
It is, trust me. I know.
So one of the last things that we got to do,
My tough part's coming up, so I understand.
yeah, good luck. Good freaking luck.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, the last thing that we got to do together on our time together in the military was we both got coined together, and you didn't even know it.
Wow, yeah, that's true. That's cool.
So, congratulations on that. And
All right.
And
Don't
I'll
hit
make
me
sure
too
that,
hard.
I'm gonna keep the coin with me. I want to give it to you in person.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
fine. Cool.
And you know, I'll shoot you those videos, and you'll get to see those as well. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, good luck on this next part because this is rough.
Yeah, I know. I'm proud of you, Jeffrey. Love you.
Right. Love you too.
Anybody else? I'd like to present the man of the hour, Tim Blankenship.
Well, like I said, you can't do this without supporting your family, and I want to give my wife some flowers. We were only married like a year, and my first activation, and I was already in Germany, had to come back. I had a week to get everything set up. I took care of all the bills and everything. She had never done them, so I had to turn all that over to her to take care of while I was gone and leave. And without her help, I don't know what I would do. And I want to give my mom flowers. Her favorite color is yellow. So. And I want to give my daughter. I do too. And I want to give my granddaughter Avila the unicorn. Feel the unicorn?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And anyway, you'll have to bear with me because this is going to be the hard part. I want to thank all my family for coming and all y'all for being here. And all the old retired guys that came back, I really appreciate it. But especially, I want you to know the toughest woman in the world sitting in this room, and that's my mother. Last year, she's been through 2 major operations and stuff that I don't think I'd go through. She's been cut open, and had she not had them, she wouldn't be here. So I'm really glad you're here. Story I got to tell on my brother. This is one the whole champion like. The day I left for basic, the 2nd of October of '80, we left Coburn and went over to Kingsport, and we were, I was leaving from the Greyhound station there to go down to Knoxville to the MEP station, and when we got over there, we stopped at is a Western Sphere or Western Civil, I forget, a steakhouse for dinner, before I left. Well, I'm figuring the whole time, Mom and my sister Susan, they're going to be the first ones that lose it, before I leave. We're sitting there eating dinner, and my brother's sitting across from me. Who's the first one that loses it? My brother. Followed shortly behind by my mom and my sister, so he proved me wrong. But we're only a year apart, and we grew up together, so I'm glad you're here. I understand, So now I'm the one losing it, so on the back end. I want to thank all the flight engineers and loadmasters that's been influential in my career. Howard, he was an instructor when I got here, and he taught me a lot, about knowing the airplane, but you don't have to know every little how many rivets are on the airplane, but you better know what's in that book. And that's the important thing he told me, and some of his Vietnam stories is pretty interesting too. Duck Light, who hired me on here. You can blame him if you ever see him. You can blame him. Mac, Steve McDonald. He.
Yeah, they weren't telling the story about you.
That's good, Mac. You did good. Dougie Hilliard ain't here. Doug Farrell, Tom, Slicky, Al. I mean, there's a lot of good guys. I flew with Shammy, Randall P. So many. I probably missed people, but I didn't miss you up here. I want to thank Colonel Prokowski, who had to leave, and Colonel Sigler and Marty and everybody. I appreciate this. Definitely want to thank Ratman for the shadow box. It's awesome looking. So I appreciate that. And I want to thank everybody that came to the surprise party I didn't know about Friday night. That was a nice surprise. It's been a long run, but it went like that. So enjoy it while you can. And the thing I'll miss the most is the people. I'll miss that more than anything. That's it, I guess.
This concludes our program. There's some refreshments, so hang around. Thank you.
Cheese. I'll take a couple. Oh, Schaefer, get out of there. Get out of there. All right.